So it's good morning here from a rather bleak Cambridge this morning. We've been spoilt with the sun, and we're going across to the other side of the world to down under in Australia, talking to my brother, Rogan McGeorge. How's it going over that end, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. It is. I would love to say that we've had loads of sun, but it's starting to move into winter here, so we haven't had the best of weather either. It's been a bit
Yeah,
rainy today.
not good, not good. I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here with a nice English cup of tea. Hope you're sitting there with an Australian cup of tea.
I've got Tasmania's finest beer, mate, as always.
As long as that's your first one, we should be all right.
Third or fourth, but I'm all right. I always have been able to drink better than you, haven't
Well, that's up for debate.
I?
But yeah, I think Specky's the worst one out of us.
Oh,
Couple
that's
of
undoubted. Yeah,
yeah,
he's bottom of the league without a shadow.
he turns into a bit of spaghetti with his arms in the air and like a bit of string dancing in vinyl.
For his sake, we won't even talk about your wedding.
No, we'll leave that and that infamous picture. He likes that, I think.
Brilliant.
So yeah, going back to Australia, just let us know how it come about that you're over there and what exactly you're doing.
Yeah, so it first come about. I was actually at a friend's wedding. Got a text from Andy Davis, who I obviously played for back home. I'm living with Jay now, and he just said, "We've got an opportunity in Australia for you. Do you want to do it?" And I remember thinking at first, "Oh wow, I think if anyone receives that text, I think, oh, great opportunity." But for the first few weeks, I didn't really take him up on it because I just started CR Sports coaching with Charlie Brown, and that was going well. I loved the school that I worked in, but then over a little bit of time, I thought maybe it's an opportunity. I was 26, obviously, at the time. I thought if I don't take this opportunity, another one probably won't come around again like it. So I started to think more and more about it, and then as time went on, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot, and then it's probably the best thing that I've ever done. So I'm glad I did.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like you say, sometimes you have to strike when the iron's hot, if you like, and take opportunities as they come. So yeah, it's a big change, and obviously away from like friends and family, and that's a big sort of transition. I did the same when I worked in racing and went to Dubai, but that was only for 6 months. So I sort of know what it's like to suddenly be on the other side of the world or 7, 8 hours away on a flight. It can take a bit of adjusting to, it's a different lifestyle. But
Yeah.
so, what teams have you played for in Australia?
So I joined initially Altona City, and the only thing that well, not regret because it wasn't my choice for the timing, but I joined halfway through the season, and I think I always had the attitude of like, I'm 26, I've played senior football for 10 years now, you can sort of handle everything. But then when, like you said, you're put on the other side of the world, you're out without your family, your friends, and everything changes from the smallest details to the biggest. All of a sudden you haven't got your family, your friends, and I was living back home as well. So I think I took a little bit of time to adjust to the new lifestyle, new environment. So I would have, if I could have chose, probably come in pre-season. But as you know, it's football. They had a window where they wanted to sign me within that window. So I come across at that time, and it wasn't ideal, I don't think, looking back. But that was the timing, and I just went for it from there, really.
Yeah, and then you're with Casey Comets at the moment. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry. So I was with Altona City. I finished the season there. Probably didn't play that great, to be honest, Scotty. Like I was still settling in, and then finished the season there. And there was Toby Patterson, who was the assistant at Altona, where I was playing. He left there. He got in contact with me and offered for me to go down to Casey Comets the next pre-season. And I've got a lot of respect for Toby. Like he played, his brother Jamie played. They both played for Halifax and had good careers. So I've always had a lot of respect for him. But he's looked after me a lot as a person as well. So when he rung, I was like, yeah, that's basically where I'm going, and I love it down at Casey, and I've signed on there for another season, so it's all
Yeah,
good.
good stuff. Yeah, you seemed a lot more settled there when we've seen the clips. You know, some of the clips you sent over, and yeah, seemed happier and made the right adjustments.
Hmm.
And just tell us a little bit about the coaching. We've obviously seen it online and on your Facebook and Instagram, etc. They look like good virtual sessions you're putting on at the minute to help keep some of the kids going. Obviously, not being able to train and go out as they normally would do. Can any kid watch the virtual sessions, or is it accessible? But they look like good sessions, good fun ones, and hopefully, yeah, giving the kids something to go and practice and work on and stay fit and active.
Yeah, so the virtual sessions have been really fun, and it's been a bit of a learning curve for me as well, because when you're in front of a camera for 45 minutes to an hour, you're constant, and it's a lot different to actually coaching a session that I'm normally
Yeah,
used to teaching. So it's been good. It's been good fun, but it is, like you said, it's a crazy time that the world are going through. So it's nice to give those kids something to look forward to. It's been a good hit. We tried to set the world record the other day for the biggest online world virtual training. Sorry, and we hit 128 kids that were in their training. The world record is actually 250, so we're going to give it another shot in a couple of weeks. But it's good, and it's tough for kids because obviously children don't always understand actually what's happening or to the detail of what's going on in the world. So it's nice to be able to be that person that is there at the other end, giving them good sessions. We've had some brilliant feedback on the sessions, and I think they pay like a small fee for they can have unlimited amount of sessions through the week with me. And there's other coaches that do it as well, so they get, you know, a different voice, a different personality. But it's been good fun, and it's a good project for the kids here to log in and actually keep ticking over.
yeah, that's fair enough. That sounds like a good idea, and the session seemed really good, and
Yeah,
really sort of punchy and great graphics and a lovely setting with a 3G surface. It looks really impressive set up there. So yeah, that's sort of Australia we've covered with the coaching and football. Just
yeah,
touched on that. Just going back to, so you've obviously, you've done pretty well out of the game and got paid and played at a semi-pro level here and obviously out there. What's your first footballing memories? Because what I sort of remember of it is someone that was about 1 foot tall that I used to love going in goal, throwing myself about and saving shots. I think that's all I did for about 15 years. Yeah, used to love rolling about and so constantly out playing football. But yeah, like used to roll one out and yeah, you had a hell of a whack on you. So what's your sort of earliest memories of how football came about and kicking a ball and getting into football, if you like?
I think I was lucky because obviously I had you as my big brother, obviously. So it was like you were always doing it. So that was what I was brought up into.
Yeah,
And it's funny because I've obviously not, you know, had an unbelievable career in terms of professionally and the heights of that, but I've had what I would say a steady career in part-time football. I played in some real good games, but it's those memories where you're kicking about as a kid that stick out in your mind just as much, if not more, than those good memories that you play within your senior career. And my earliest memories were playing in Grandma and Granddad's at Loughton at their house there. We used to use the trees down the back of the garden as the goal.
yeah,
And we used to have to crawl under the trees to get the ball back at times. And
yeah,
obviously then Granddad that lived near the Abbey Stadium, we used to play football in the back of his garden. They're probably like my earliest memories. But like I said to you, it's them little memories there that I probably remember them clearer and better than what I do anything that I did go on to sort of achieve when I was older. So like little things when you used to play out the front on the green there and you'd be playing with, obviously you were older, playing with your older mates and you'd let me go over the odd time. I remember that now as clear as if it was yesterday. So that's the best bit about football for me, just being able to play and play with your mates and your brother and that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it was good times, and say we were fortunate enough to have the big green out the front, and there was goals, and it was just a done thing. Like you try and you'd be called in for dinner, waft your dinner down. I had to be told like, right, you're not going out until so, and then let your dinner go down, you straight back out there. And I'm not saying kids don't do that anymore, but that was more of a common theme back then in our era, and I'm sort of glad I was in that era, and that I think that helped me obviously when I sort of played pretty good level Colts, and then went on and played a reasonable level as I got older. And that helps. I think if you can get out there and
I do
social.
often think that it was a shame that you had to stop playing, because it would have been class to have played with you at some stage. But it worked, was it?
No, that's it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like even with yourself, it's like you can look at it two ways, really. Like some players would have loved to have played, the level you played, and even get paid to play football, whereas thousands and even millions obviously pay subs and have to pay to play. So it's kind of like a privilege to get paid for doing something that you love, but then you probably still have that. Could I have done more, or could I have played another level up? So it depends what way you look at it, really. But I think on a whole, if you're getting paid and you feel happy enough and you've done well in the game, like I say, a lot of people have to pay their subs each week to play football. So
it's a good point you make, because I think, and I don't think it's just football, but it's probably life, Scotty. But you always look above you and see people that are doing better than you, or what you could have done. But like you said, there's the flip side of where you could look not necessarily below you. I don't want to say it like that, but you look at unfortunately you had to stop playing early. Well, I've been lucky enough. I'm 28. I'm still playing, and there is two sides of the coin always. And I think as human nature, we tend to look at, I could have done this, or so and so's done this, and maybe I could have changed things and got here or there. But actually, when you put it like that, I have been, and I don't take any of it for granted. I've been very, very lucky, and through football, I'm now here enjoying life as a whole, and that me being here has only come from my journey in football. So I'm definitely lucky, and I feel very blessed to have what I've got. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Well said. Yeah. That's a great point. You wouldn't, if it wasn't for football, you wouldn't be sitting in Australia drinking beer and loving life.
That's London's finest, mate. If you don't know about it, find out.
What does that say? 2.5% alcohol.
Do you know what? I've actually got a story about this. So it's James, I don't know how to say it, James Bogues. And we were in Nando's, me, Jay, and Lee Stonebridge when he come to visit me. And I ordered one of these in Nando's, and we were sitting there eating, and Jay cracked a bit of banter. He was having a Corona. He goes, "Oh, shock, I'm drinking with the most percent. I'm drinking the more alcohol, whatever." And I was like, "Yeah." And we looked, and I had the light one of these, which was honestly about 2-point-something%. So I copped a lot of banter that night, definitely.
Really.
I didn't even realise.
Now you've mentioned Nando's and alcohol, I know we battered him a little bit earlier, but I've got to mention Specs.
Yeah.
If anyone knows Specky, he is liable to do the odd really daft out there thing. And I'd like to think it was his first ever Nando's visit.
It was.
He's losing his Nando's virginity, if you like. And he's gone up and ordered whatever he's ordered, a medium chicken and chips and whatever, and then said, "Can I have a pint of Foster's, please?"
I've never ever been in Nando's. We were Jamie Page and me, and we had tears streaming down our face. And the woman thought that he was like taking the piss, but we said to her, "Nah, like honestly, you just have to know him."
No, it's fantastic.
Brilliant.
Bit like, do you get the chicken in the fajita boxes as well? We were talking about that the other day. But yeah, that's what makes specs, and got a few old funny stories.
We wouldn't
Yeah.
change it.
No, that's it. No, he's a top fella. He is. Um, so yeah, obviously with the football journey, we spoke about them early memories, like say playing in grandparents' gardens, etc. And we were fortunate to have the green in front of us, and everyone went out there and played football. So that kind of gives you a bit of a start. Because you just got a ball at your feet from the get go. Then you've gone through the cult system, which many of us have done. And to be honest, I think they're great days. Like I talk about it now and still interact on Facebook with pictures, and they were just brilliant. You'd go to school and just live for that weekend. You know, that you'd play on the Sunday. I know for me it used to be pasta and something good to eat that Dad had got me to fuel up on a Saturday night, watch Gladiators and all them good programs on Saturday night, and then
The whole thing, yeah.
get to bed early. And then, yeah, I played for Girton, Cambridge Crusaders, and we were sort of always in the A League. And yeah, it was just great times of Colts League, and some of the most enjoyable years of your footballing time. I'm sure it was the same for yourself. Obviously, I watched you at Fullborn Falcons, and yeah,
Yeah.
like leave you with fond memories. Really, the Colts, don't they?
We honestly, and I genuinely mean this. So I live with my mates here. One lad from Scotland. Then I live with Jay Davis, who obviously played back home, and Deeks, who I grew up with. And we were sitting there the other night, and we've done it on numerous occasions, just talking about different Colts games, finals that we played in, different players, and we were honestly there for about 2 hours the other night just talking about those times. So they're probably some of the most precious. And we were saying, of course you love it when you're there, but you don't realize how precious it's going to be, especially if you're players like us. So when we grow up, we're trying to make a sort of living as such in the game, or we're trying to earn a bit of money playing or play at the highest level. When you're back then, Scotty, you just play, and there is no pressures really, is there? It's the best time.
Yeah, no, great times in the Colts League. And like I said, even with myself, you always played, successful team. Obviously, even going back, obviously, we spoke about Colts League, but going back to when you first actually played, we're talking, I think it was Burwell Swallows or Tigers. I'm sure you'll be able to tell me which. Yeah,
Tigers, mate. They were our rivals. You
yeah,
should know this, Scotty.
that's it. Yeah, I know there is a big differential there, but you played with a current England goalkeeper that's local to the area. Yeah, little did we know when we were watching then he'd be turning out for the country.
Yeah, unbelievable. He's done quality, and you get people that when they make it, and I've obviously had friends growing up playing and they've made it, and you look at the likes of Popey, was just a class lad, never ever above his station. He was even class at that age, and I remember him and his brother had season tickets at Ipswich, and his brother couldn't make a couple of games, and he always used to choose me to go along. And I went down to Portman Road a few times and watched. I think I remember watching West Ham v Ipswich because they were in the Prem at the time, and Everton versus Ipswich at Portman Road. And he always selected me to go with him as his mate. He could have chose people he went to school with, this, that, and the other, but he always chose me. And I still remember them now, like Francis Jeffers, Don Hutchinson players, Di Canio was playing. So yeah, I've got good memories of Nick, but they're a lovely family. I played with Josh when I played at Mildenhall, and that they're a quality family. So I'm always pleased to see him doing well.
Yeah, no, I'd echo them thoughts. Good family, the Popes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we covered the Colts and the mini league there, and so then we'll skip along to your latter teenage years. It was Cambridge United. There was a scholarship you did there, which was great in itself. Obviously, Cambridge wanted to have a look at you. I remember the times, and it was like a trial period, and then the waiting to see if you'd done enough, and they wanted to take you on a 2-year scholarship, which would be massive. I know myself playing, if I got offered one of them and knew you were going to be training every day and doing something like that, it'd be a great opportunity and potentially a stepping stone into the game, possibly. Or it gives you certainly more chance than if you were just knocking about playing local football.
Yeah, definitely. It was good. And obviously, as you know, I was actually looking at the photo of me and you. I was sitting on your lap earlier when I was a kid with a Cambridge United shirt, and you've got your Cambridge shirt on. So that sort of says it all in terms of us supporting them all the way through. And you're wearing a Cambridge top now, even. But and I've got the 2 replica tops in my wardrobe just behind me as well. So for me to get a scholarship at that club was quality, because I was knocking about having trials with Norwich City as well. But Norwich City were in the Prem at the time and Cambridge were in the Conference. But I can honestly say that I was more interested and more excited about playing at Cambridge. And we used to go up there every week, wasn't it? That was our thing, me, you, Specs. And then the following year I was a scholar and I trained with the first team a few times. And some of the lads used to banter me and that, and like, but for me, it was like, I was I never used to tell him, but I'd be like, I was singing his name on the terraces last year. So for me, it was better to support a small team, because then I was training with the players that I was sort of going away to York City when Boylan scored and we won 2-1. But then I was training with them players the next year, and I was like, "Oh, this is class." So, but it was a good experience. The overall thing was class. It was brilliant.
Yeah. Who stood out for you at Cambridge United in the scholarships system then? Because obviously you spent a lot of time. Well, you know, I remember giving numerous lifts to different people and players, and like, it was any funny stories, and who were the best players that you trained and played alongside at Cambridge United, scholarship level, we'll say.
Well, the 2 that stand out for like pure ability and having what it takes are Mazza and Bez. So Adam Barriott and Luke Berry. Berry was annoyingly good, like every day, and I still use Beza as my example when I'm coaching. It would be snowing, and Jez would have us in running at Combaton on the 3G where there's no one about because it's snowing, and he'd have us just running, and 99% of the lads, Scotty, would go, we shouldn't be doing this. This is rubbish. We should have the day off. One day wouldn't hurt. But hand on my heart, every single one of those days, Beza was just at the front of the running, just pumping, just doing what it took. And then we had to do 5-a-side. I always remember we had to do 5-a-side at Hills Road College. And we were playing in there. And I actually got a bit ratty with Beza because he like went by someone and smashed it in. And as he jogged back, was going, like, giving it. But that was just what it was about. Because every single day, it didn't matter whether you're indoors, outdoors, sunny, rainy, snowing, he trained at 100%, and he had ability as well. And the thing about Beza is he had so much ability, but he was tough as well. He didn't look tough, but he was 16 playing in that Regions League, and people were whacking him about. And I genuinely don't think I've ever seen him down on the floor injured. He was tough. He's one of the toughest players I've ever played with, but didn't look it. So he was a standout. Then we had like IFZ. IFZ was good. Adam Mazza was class. Mazza could do things that nobody else could. He'd win you a game on his own. So he stood out. And then you had like IFZ. IFZ was class. Great techers. Great for a goal. Always thought he could score. Rory Macaulay, I loved Roars. Roars was like, you could take him to war and there'd be, I reckon if you put 11 players out and said, Roars, go out there on your own and do your best, some people would go, well, I've got no chance. I reckon he'd actually give it a go. He was one of them. Class that. And a great bloke off the pitch as well. Because in my first year, we went to Czech Republic on a pre-season tour, and Roars was my roommate. And a few people had said he was a bit handy, a bit of a hard man and that. So I was a bit thinking, there's little me first year. I'm thinking, I hope he don't like sort of start with me. But he was class. He was such a good bloke. And he actually looked after me. And one thing I always remember when I first met him, he used to sit out on the balcony and have the pistachio nuts. But you know when you take the shell off and then put the pistachio nut in? Yeah. Now, Ross just puts the whole thing in, crunches the thing, and spits it out. Just That's just stick to me.
Yeah, I love
Also,
a pistachio, mate. It's pistachio nut, but not in that form.
and
Yeah,
also,
well, yeah, he's from out in the sticks, and
yeah,
they do things a bit differently, don't they? Munch
he,
on things.
he's tough as old boots.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
also, you ask for funny stories. When I go, when I talk about youth team days, and I was telling this story to the boys the other day. Hughesy, I've got a couple of stories here that I'll give you because they're worth it. So Hughesy, Liam Hughes, again went on to score. He's a hero of mine now, even though he's a mate of mine.
yeah, yeah. Everyone loves Hughesy, don't they?
Not mate, or the goal Wembley. Well, anyway,
and he's coming on here. He's going to be my next victim, Hughesy. So.
Definitely, and he's got some stories for you as well. Definitely, but we as scholars, we all had jobs, and his job was every Friday to clean the minibus. So Jez used to park the minibus outside his office, so the Hoover could reach out into the minibus. And I always used to knock about with Beza all the time. So I never had a job. Mine was to do the equipment all through the week. So when it got to Friday, I was free to go after we'd finished college at the ground. Well, I used to help Bez because Bez's job was on a Friday to clean the gym and make sure that was good. So I used to help him with that. And then me and Beza, I'll tell you what we used to do after I finished this bit of the story.
Yeah.
We used to walk down the front of the Abbey. The minibus would be parked outside Jez's. Hughesy would be in there, like, making sure it's clean, hoovering, because you had to. Otherwise, you'd get fined and Jez would have a go at you. So you had to do it properly. And every week, so we started doing this thing, me and Beza, where Hughesy would have the windows open and he'd be scrubbing away in the minibus. We used to sneak up to the minibus, lean into the minibus where he's cleaning and just slap him on the head, on the back of the head. And he would, Hughesy being Hughesy, he'd swear really loud, but he's right outside Jez's office. So the first week we did it, Jez comes storming out. Me and Bez had run off by that time, hiding by the wall out the front of the Abbey. Watched Hughesy, got a right telling off for Jez. Anyway, we get in Monday for training and Hughesy's going, I got done by Jez, fine, this, that, and the other. So we were like, we shouldn't shout then when we slap you. So the following week we went back, slapped him, and he shouted probably louder than he did the first week. Really? And he got put on cleaning the bus and the changing room. So that was funny. But then we used to clean the gym, and I used to clean the gym with Bez, and it was like our weekly ritual where me and Bez would go down to Coral in Chesterton and put on, like, we weren't betting big by then, obviously. We weren't earning a lot of money, but we used to just little accumulator on the football for the weekend. Well, then we got banned by Jez from going in any bookies. And he said that if he caught any of us in the bookies, that was it. Contracts written up and we'd be fined. But I think a few of the other boys were betting a little bit heavier than what we were doing, like more than just accumulate. A couple of them had lost a bit of money. And Jez had found out, so he implemented that rule. Well, me and Bez were like, nah, we do that every Friday. We only do a little football bet. It'll be all right. He won't catch us. So anyway, we were in there on a Friday afternoon and Bez was doing his bets. And we had our big Cambridge United kit bags on us. Anyway, out of nowhere, I just went, Bez, you never guess what? Jez has just drawn up outside. I, hands down, have never seen Beza run so fast. It was packed because it was a Friday in Coral. He had his kit bag bashing people out the way. He run out the back door of Coral. And then I went, I'm just joking. He was fuming with me. Fuming.
Yeah, brilliant. Good stories. Yeah, I remember myself, like, there was some good lads in them times. I used to give them a lift because obviously the digs was only down Milton Road. And yeah, I remember them stories. And like I say, I'm getting Hughesy on here. He'll be next, and he can tell me a couple more stories about. Obviously, you weren't allowed sweets and confectionery in the digs and that. But there was a rumour he used to be partial to a bag of Haribos and stuff. So he can tell us more.
Hughesy could write a book, mate. It would be unbelievable. Yeah. I'd be first to buy it. Trust me.
Yeah. But it all came good for him in the end, didn't it? And we all love him now.
Couldn't have honestly happened to a better bloke. When he scored at Wembley, he's genuinely just a legend. Genuinely is. Yeah. We had a few nights on the beers when we shouldn't have been youth team days, but he was class, man. Class actor. Always has been.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. So great family and good guy, funny guy, and then he done great things. We were talking about memories and what you've achieved in football. Like he can always hold his head high and proud, even where Cambridge are in the league now. Obviously, there was a bit more to it than just Wembley. It's getting there, but they were obviously instrumental goals and remembered for years along the line. You know, we were out of the league a long time, so
yeah, of
Ryan
course.
and Liam Hughes. I'd say it wasn't just about that game, but obviously that was instrumental in actually getting us up. Especially as we'd got to Wembley, you know, we'd had a heartache twice of losing to Exeter and Torquay. You know, I remember we'd lost to Exeter, which was hard, but that was the first time getting to the playoff final. And then what was it? A year or two later, it was Torquay. Yeah. I thought, well, we won't lose again because we'd lost last time. It's our turn to win, and we got done again, and I couldn't believe it. So to go back there in 2014 and on a glorious sunny hot day behind the goal there, and both our goals scored that end was was special. And Hughesy can replay that moment for the rest of his life, can't he?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, what a moment! Is goes down as a hero at the club I've supported all my life, and he's a friend. So what a legend!
That's it. So yeah, obviously they were the Cambridge United days, and we got released from Cambridge after the scholarship, but like I said, good experience mixed with some great lads and made friends for life, if you like. But it helped you develop as a person and a footballer, I'm sure. With, like you said, the responsibility and jobs and teaching you a little bit of work ethic. I know, like you mentioned, Jez George there, and you know, I know he was a little bit of a disciplinarian, and but in the long run, it probably does help you. You know, teaches you some life values as well as the football side of it because you're training every day, and had some great coaching. So yeah, I'm sure Cambridge, on the whole, was a good experience, although you'd have probably liked to have stayed longer, and it's gone a little bit different in the end. But yeah, good experience, and again, you've always got that in your locker and sets you up for your adult football thereafter, whatever level that may be at.
Yeah, definitely, and I think, like you say, probably goes back to our point that we were on about earlier, that actually I'm lucky to get one, because if you look at my age group, there was only me and Luke Berry that were from Cambridge. All the rest come from bigger clubs, and I remember I played right back at the time, and there was players from right backs from West Brom who were in the Prem at that time, Leicester City, Prem clubs. So you're almost at that age, 16. You're battling against players that are coming from Prem clubs, really, that have been released and want to join Cambridge. So I was lucky enough to do that. And yeah, like you said, of course I would have liked to have gone on. Of course I would, but wasn't lucky enough to do that. But it sets you up for life. I always felt that I developed as a person and had to grow up, because that was the way it was in the youth team. You weren't allowed to be a baby. You weren't allowed to not be late to training. You had to take responsibility. So as much as I learned as a footballer, I almost learned like my disciplines and my responsibilities going into any job in any industry. And I think that's also helped me with coaching. I teach the kids now. I often think, what's my goal as a coach, handing down to the younger generation? I've obviously got a passion for it, but I often think I don't want to just help them with their techniques and their football. What can I do for them as people? Can they become better people because of what I give them whilst delivering football? So it was definitely a good experience and helped me all round.
Yeah, sure. Just we'll keep the Cambridge United theme for a second before we move on to your non-league experiences then. Who's your favourite ever Cambridge United player after watching them and following them for however many years it's been?
Yeah, I would say hands down Paul Wanless. I still sing his name around the house, and obviously I've got Jay here who played for Peterborough, and he's probably the only the only person who
No
I'll
swearing, please. No swearing on here, please.
um, and
I actually had a friend, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I had a friend the other day, and on my Facebook, an old school friend, and he actually works in that place that you said begins with P, and he put a picture up and said, "Beautiful walk into Peterborough this morning," and I thought he must be in the wrong area.
yeah, mate. Honestly,
sorry to interrupt, Wani. Yeah, obviously,
yes.
if you know Cambridge United, support him, you'll know that. Yeah, he's a legend. The legends have actually been painted on the back of the Newmarket Road end stand there on the brickwork.
Yeah.
It's actually a great job. The likes of Dublin, Taylor, John Vaughan, Wani rightfully takes his place there. And yeah, just to explain why he's your pick.
When I was younger, it's my earliest sort of memories. That sort of era was when I was going up there with yourself, Dad, and he just sticks out. I still sing his song that he's the King of the Abbey. Even to this day, I genuinely do around the house. And I played in a game for Simon Dobbo, which was a great cause just before I come out here a couple of years ago. And he was playing in my team. And I was saying the other day to a couple of mates, like we had Jody Craddock there. There was Nigel Winterburn, who obviously played in the Prem, were very successful. And those walked in, and I was obviously like, oh, blimey, there's Nigel Winterburn, there's Jody Craddock played in. But when Wanless walked in, I was like a kid. I was like, oh, that's... And I don't think people understand it. And then at the end, he was stood there, and I just had a shower because we played in the same team. And I thought, I really want to get me a picture with him because he is like beyond them for me. And I asked him for a picture, and I remember he looked at me and went, oh, I should be asking you for your picture. And I thought, blimey, he must think I've got a bit. I've just played with him. And then it was it was funny because when I was playing with him, I was proper one-earing him off like he was my mate, but actually he like just absolute hero. I remember I played wide right that game. It's a charity game, obviously, for a great cause. Hughesy was there playing as well. But it was surreal. I thought, like, even when Wanless was giving me the ball, I thought, that's Wanless, like, who I grew up idolising. Captain. I see him in the shirt now, and I'm lucky enough to have one of his shirts back home. So I actually want to get it out here towards because I want to frame it and put it up. But undoubtedly him. There's been some great players at Cambridge, but he is standout my favourite player.
Yeah. No, like you say, he could play a bit, but he'd go to war. He turned out for Cambridge or carried on in games when he'd put his head in where people wouldn't put their feet. Remember him playing with a bandage wrapped around his head a couple of times.
Yeah.
We've got an alarm situation.
Hey, that's a fine.
Yeah, that only normally goes off when I'm cooking. But yeah, no, Wani donned the gloves, I think, didn't he? Went up with a famous Roy McFarlane team in the 90s alongside Shaggy and co. And yeah, what a great era that was. And yeah, he's always very much welcome at the Abbey and a gentleman as well. So yeah, good pick. It's very difficult to pick one out, but yeah, Wanless rightfully takes his name as a Cambridge United legend. So just moving on, you played on the non-league circuit for various non-league teams: Hitchin, Wisbech, Stamford, St Ives, St Neots, Histon.
You make me sound like a journey man.
Yeah, more clubs than Tottenham. So yeah, I think you must have been getting a joining fee every time.
I wish I should have.
Yeah. But where was your most enjoyable time? On the non-league circuit. I'm sure obviously you've got a few, but where did you have your most enjoyable days?
I enjoyed a lot of the clubs, even right up till when I come out here. I loved it at St Ives. I loved the people there. Great club, good people. Ricky, absolute class, that great bloke. Hitchin, loved Hitchin, proper non-league club, always well supported. I remember turning up for my debut, coming out to warm up, and there was claps, and you look around and you think, blimey, there's a fair few Hitchin here with their banners and stuff. So it was obviously enjoyable there. But I think the one that holds most in my heart that I really, really enjoyed was when I spent 2 years at Histon. It was down the road, and it was weird because I used to go watch Cambridge United against Histon, and I sort of didn't like them, to be honest. But then when I went there and played, I felt at home, and I loved it there. 2 years again, great people behind the scenes, and I loved playing for them. There, I can't remember many times where I played for them and didn't enjoy it. Like, it was always a pleasure to play for them.
Yeah, no, yeah, good club, Histon, and yeah, it's mad to think how they got to the heights. You know, even when you said playing against Cambridge United, my first thought was in pre-season friendlies, but yeah, actually they were there on a par with us, if not almost overtaken us. So yeah, good club, very local to us. And yeah, that was a good time. Obviously, we travelled around watching you, and yeah, Hitchin was good. It was always a good day or night out there. You know, again, not too far down the road, but yeah, so it's always good. Support and spectators make everything. The more that are there, that you know, it makes it a bit more special, especially as a non-league player. You know, the ultimate playing in front of people, um, which I'm sure you'll agree with. Who's Who's the best player you've played alongside or played in the same team as on the non-league circuit? Difficult question, I know. But is there
Yeah,
anyone?
it's difficult. When I think about this question, I think I've been very, very lucky to play alongside some great players. And I look at my close mates, and I've been lucky to play with close mates that are good, which I think is a rare thing. You know, you look at Ivesy. Ivesy's a hell of a player. I played alongside him for long enough at Histon, and in our younger days at Cambridge. Deeksy, who I sort of grew up with, played with him on his day, brilliant. Oggy Doobie, class act, great player on his day. Played with him, been lucky enough to play with him. Miles. So all my close mates are real good players. But the one that sticks out for me, who I played alongside, which I thought on more than one occasion, I thought, wow, this guy is very, very good, was John Frendo at Hitchin. He could do everything you need in a good striker, and there were people when we were at Hitchin that used to say they were surprised he hadn't played pro football. But then I think he was an advert for earning a good living by getting his non-league wage and working. But he could hold it up. He was strong, and he scored all sorts of goals. And there were a number of times where he scored goals, and I was like, wow, he's a joke. But hits probably, yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree. I remember there was a game. There was myself, you, Jamie Page. We went to sort of check out Hitchin. I think you were due to train with them or join them, something or other, and we've gone to sort of check them out. They played AFC Tottenham, I think it was, and John Frendo was outstanding, and it was a pleasure to watch you. You know, as a young player that was still probably learning their trade in the men's game. You know, as a younger player to play with someone like that. You know, obviously you look up to a player like that. Yeah, a terrific left foot. He played for Cambridge City. Obviously Hitchin. Good player. Really well. Doesn't do him justice saying good player, but yeah, like you said, even if we touched on Histon before, it was difficult because there was professional teams that had come in for players. Even at Histon, I know this happened for a fact, but they were earning well from their mainstream job, daytime job, but obviously really good money as a semi-pro footballer. So if that works and you're bringing in good money and you're still able to play, then like you said, that's probably why a lot of players potentially were just very good non-league players and weren't pro players. So yeah, best player you played against in the non-league circuit. There's been a few that I've obviously followed you around and watched you against some ex-pros and players that knock around in the non-league. Is there anyone that stands out that you played against?
There's one game in particular that sticks out in my mind, and I've already mentioned him, but he's one of my best mates that I've grown up with. But we played Kettering away at Kettering, and Doobs was untouchable that day. He was literally that good. You couldn't get near him, and I remember, even though he's like one of my best mates, I'd grown up with him. I remember kicking him. he was running through, and I actually just wiped him out and then give him a bit of verbal after, just to do anything to put him off. But he's a strange character, because if you do that to him, he comes back stronger, and he was unplayable that day. So I have to give him a say. He was unbelievable, and that performance is probably one of the few times where I've gone, I'm playing against someone who's untouchable here. Then there was a guy called James Jepson who played at Kings Lynn. I still chat to him on Facebook and Instagram and that now. He was very good. He was technical, played high level, but you could tell, and a very, very good midfielder. I want to give a mention to Luke Knight as well. Tough, like opponent. Me and him used to go at it a little bit. But I got a lot of respect for Luke, and I think he respects me. But I think the one player that I played against that I don't know personally, that I come away from the game thinking, geez, yeah, he's good, was is it Isaac Vassell? Is that his name? The one that went to play for Birmingham and
That's
Luton?
the one, yeah, Birmingham and Luton, yeah, terrific.
Yeah, he was at Truro when we were at Histon, and I think he scored 3, maybe 4 against us one day, and he was outrageous. And then I think a couple of months later he went to Luton, and I was like, yeah, well, I'm not surprised, because you could see that. And then he went on to play for Birmingham. So you were like, yeah, he shouldn't have even been playing for Truro really against us, but he was outrageous that day. He was.
Yeah. It is great to see players plucked out of the non-league circuit. I mean, what was that? That was like Southern League level. So it's good to see that players still getting chances and opportunities that are kicking about at that level. Sometimes even a bit lower, often higher.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some gems in there. Like, I've watched hundreds of non-league games following yourself around, and there's a lot of talent in there.
There is. I mean, you look at the ones that I've even played with, Scotty. There was Nick Freeman, who was class at Histon. Again, I didn't mention him earlier, but he was a great player who's proving that now, because he's got promotions with Wickham and playing there. Jordan Nicholson got picked up from Histon. He was a good player. Jamal Lowe, that was at Hitchin on loan, he's now playing for Wigan. But so, like you say, there is, and I've been lucky enough to play with a few of them as well.
Yeah, no, exactly that. So it shows us some hidden gems in there. So just sort of wrapping it up. If you were talking about, obviously, you're doing a lot of coaching. You do, that's been your thing for many years. You've been a coach at Cambridge United, and there's something for everyone. And you do seem to excel and are a very good coach. May say so myself. Have you got any sort of advice, having done a bit of a football journey and the Colts, like we've touched on, the scholarship, the non-league circuit? You've been a pretty good local player to the Cambridge area. People recognise, and children. Is there any advice you'd give, knowing what you know now, you could tell them, pass that on for them going forwards, if you like? Any sort of 1 or 2 bits of advice, whether that be lifestyle, football, nutrition?
Yeah, I think the first thing that would always spring to my mind is to enjoy it. I've been at clubs where I've hated it, and I've been at stages of my playing time where footballers become a chore, and training's become an inconvenience, and games have even been in the way of actually what I wanted to do. And if you ever get yourself in that state, whether you're professional, semi-professional, amateur, then it's no good. It's no good to anybody. So I would always encourage young players to do what they enjoy. I enjoy messing around. Like, I'm probably excelling at coaching more so now because I'm allowed to just mess about when I do it. And I like messing about. I like having a joke with people. So I think I would always advise to just enjoy yourself and have a laugh, because you only get one shot at everything you do. So you might as well enjoy it while you do it. I think the second bit of advice I would give to any player that wants to strive forward and do the best they can in the game is to take responsibility for what they do. Maybe I was guilty of it at times in my career. I'd blame this, blame that, blame something else. But ultimately, you're at responsibility for what you do. Are you responsible for the amount that you eat? and what you eat, what you put in your body. Yeah, of course you are. Are you responsible for the amount of sleep you're getting every night? Of course you are. So you've got to take responsibility of those things and do the most that you can to give yourself the best chance. At times in my career, did I give myself the best chance to go as high as I could? I'll probably look back and go, well, I could have done more, if I'm going to be blatantly honest. But I also look at where I am now and I go, with everything that I've learned, the mistakes that I've made, the good things that I've done, I put that all accumulated together and I look at where I am now. I'm in a job that I absolutely love. I've worked all weekend, so we're at Sunday evening at 8 o'clock here, and I've worked all weekend, but I don't feel upset. I feel happy about it. So I think enjoyment and then doing everything you can to achieve what you want. And everyone wants different things, but everyone, you choose your goal and then you take control of how you go and get it, I suppose.
Yeah, good words. Good word. Yeah, agree. We'll just finish off with a couple of little questions before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Favourite ground, stadium you've played at?
You know what I'm going to say here, Scotty. You were there that night, mate. You were there when I scored at the Abbey, mate, and I kissed the badge. Now it's the Abbey Stadium, hands down, because, like you say, like we were touched on earlier, it's we used to go up there. We used to sing on the terraces. So when you play there, it doesn't matter who it's for, youth team, reserves, whatever. Abbey Stadium, playing there was like the most special, best feeling in the world. I was lucky enough to play at Slavia Prague Stadium. I think that held like 50,000 people. There weren't that many people there that day, but I still played at that stadium. And
I'd left that bit out.
Yeah, all right. There were 42,000 people there, but
really,
that was a great experience, of course, as a player. But it's a crazy feeling. I wish I could have done it for the first team. Of course I do. But then we go back to the point where some players haven't done it. I walked out in a Cambridge United kit at the Abbey Stadium. And at that moment, it didn't matter who it was for. I was like, the only thing I cared about were you lot that were there. You were there, Specs, Mum, Dad, Linz. You were all there. And that was the most special, without a shadow of a doubt. I loved it. And I scored.
Yeah, very true. Favourite player that plays currently around the world? Anyone? Current
player, I would probably say I'm going to go for David Silva, mate. I do. I'm a massive fan of him. Always it seems to have loads of space for himself. So smooth with the ball. I could watch him all day. A lot of the boys wonder why, because I'm not a Man City fan. I'm not this, that, or the other. But I love David Silva. Some player.
Yeah, good shout. Good player. Getting hard to pick one, but no one can argue that. Past player that's retired, that played when you were younger, who stood out, who you liked a lot, admired?
R9, unreal player.
Ronaldo.
Ever, in my opinion. I know Messi and Ronaldo achieved what they have, and you can't deny their stats, but on out-and-out ability, if he hadn't got the injuries, I honestly think he would have hit the same heights, and I believe he did it in a tougher era as well. So R9, I loved Ronaldinho, and I want to mention Joe Cole as well, because I love Joe Cole. What a player. I was watching clips of him the other day, and he was outrageous. I love players that just play with a freedom, and he did. I love him.
Yeah. Just to finish off, one more question. We'll let you have your moment if you like. You weren't renowned for scoring goals when you played. You were a bit more of a stopper. You could play a lot. To be fair to you, good player, but you could mix it. There's probably not many players that can do both. So that was a credit to you. You could battle and give as good as what you got, but you could, you obviously had a good touch. Good composure on the ball. Didn't score many goals, but when you did score them, fair to say they weren't tap-ins. What's your favourite goal that you scored?
My favourite goal, it's got to be the St. Neots one. And I think it's because when I look at my St. Neots time, it was obviously an unbelievable goal. And I in and around that time, I had a thing for goalkeepers being off their line, and you almost didn't need to look. You know where the goal is. It's an old cliche, but the goal don't move. And it was a special goal in terms of how good it was, without blowing my own trumpet. But my time at St Neots, I honestly can't think of a game where I played at full fitness, bar a few games at the beginning of the season. So, and I was playing for a guy that I absolutely loved, Andy Davis. Obviously, I live with Jay now, but I loved him, and I hate thinking of my time at St Neots in some ways, because I felt like I let Andy down, because I was never fit. If I was playing for him, I was playing with a strapped up knee, and I couldn't get about, or I'd get to 60 minutes, look down at my knee, and it was blown up. So me and Andy still talk about it to this day. When I scored that, I ran over to him and jumped on him, and I love that goal because of how good it was, but I'm also thankful that we had that little celebration moment, and that was almost my way of, I don't know, apologising, but I was never fit for him, so it was a killer, and he'd shown a lot of faith in me as well, so it leaves me a little bit of regret, but that was why that goal was so special.
Yeah, it was a good goal. We were fortunate enough to be up that end and stood to the side with Mum and Dad, and we explained it to Specs as he was looking at his phone at the time. He said, "Rogan scored from 45 yards." We talked him through it, but yeah, well, it was a outrageous goal, and like I say, he didn't score many, but when you did, they were good. And I think it was against Banbury, and you also done it again, perhaps the following season for St Ives as well. I wasn't actually at that game. I was at Wolverhampton Racecourse on a Saturday night. Exactly, but yeah. So some good times, good memories we've chatted over, and a good laugh. And glad you're getting on well out there. And it was good to have you back last October and have a meet up. And but yeah, it's good to speak to you. Hopefully, a few people can watch this, because a lot of people have got spare time and sitting in their houses and gone through every Netflix documentary and film you can possibly watch. So it's a little bit of fun. Or obviously you've got some younger viewers, people you've coached and that before. Hopefully they can watch it and take on a few bits of advice. But sure. Cheers for checking in, mate, and doing a little bit of a chit chat and interview.
No worries, mate. I think obviously with what's going on in the world at the minute and everything, I think what you're doing and your ideas are brilliant, and I know you've got some bigger names coming on than me, so I'm only happy to help and get the ball rolling as such. But what you're doing is class, mate. Is generally as good. So fair play to you, and I hope that it gets enough views and you can get them bigger names on and it kicks off a little bit, because I'll certainly be one for tuning in, not for the sake of it. I love stuff like this, so I'll be tuning in, mate.
Yeah, be looking at getting a couple of others on board, like say Hughesy will be my next victim. Be good to have a laugh and a chat with him, and he'll have some stories. So any Cambridge United fans out there, and everyone certainly from Cambridge United loves Liam Hughes, so he'll be a good one. And obviously we're in a time where we don't know how long this. Well, some people are treating it as a lockdown, but it's horrible virus pandemic that we're in. But I'm sure we will come out of it at some stage. Obviously, it's important to stay safe in the meantime, and I don't want to sound selfish, but hopefully we'll come through the other side. I've got a charity event, if you like, arranged. It'll be a core team that I'll be taking over to Newmarket, made up of friends. Luke Chadwick, he'll be playing. He's agreed and said he'll love to play for us. So we've been playing against Good Olfin, who are Sheikh Mohammed's racing outfit in Newmarket. It'll be at the Newmarket Town Ground. We're raising money for the Adam Brooks Charitable Trust, who obviously have done great work through this virus, but they looked after Chelsea when she was very ill at 18 months. So something I've always wanted to put back into and do. So that's something I'm working on. And there'll be like a comedy DJ and we'll be looking at having a football celebrity or two there on the day. So that's given me a bit of focus and a bit of positivity rather than mope about and be down and negative.
Good on you. And when you say when you said comedy, was that because you're playing Trippy up front? That's what I'm hearing from this side.
That'll be the main comedy of the day. Yeah. It'll be comedy if he actually runs about this game. But we've got about 15, 16 players, so unfortunately I won't be playing due to injury. But he'll be stood next to me if he don't pull his finger out this time, because we've got about 16 players.
I've already told him there's a job for everyone. Them water bottles don't fill themselves, mate.
Exactly. Well, you've got every man and woman and his dog out there cycling and running around at the minute. So I haven't seen him yet. But as soon as there's a date, I want to see his footprints in the Arbury tarmac.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, hopefully we can get this game on whenever that may be. Who knows? Love to think it'll be this year, but it's happening. I've had loads of support, loads of sponsors, and I want to make a good couple of grand at least for Adam Brooks and the intensive care units. So I just wanted to plug that, put that out there. Obviously, we've got to be patient with that, and hopefully we can lower the numbers and the horrible death tolls. But we will get out of this time, and we'll get back to normality. So I think I'm trying to use this time and period as wisely as I can. Do a few more of these with some people. They'll kindly agree. And so cheers, mate. And
thanks, buddy.
You on.
Cheers, mate. All right, I'll chat to you soon.
See you later.